You know, if you still believe in the book of Exodus as a black man, then you need to wake up from your slumber. Yes, you, wake up from your slumber. Let us look at Pharaoh Ramesses, the Pharaoh they said battled with Moses. His father Setai I is the one they said started enslaving the Israelites in Egypt. My dear, there is no archaeological or anthropological evidence anywhere to show that the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. The Exodus never happened. Please, lovers of knowledge, your support is needed here. I seek your support to be able to print more copies of the book titled The Untold History of the Black Race and the Fall of African Civilization, in order to awaken our African brothers and sisters by having more copies to distribute. Those who want to support, in order for me to print more copies, can send a message to my inbox. Nothing is too small. Now, this topic about the Exodus is a topic we should expose to our children repeatedly, in order for them not to wallow in the fairy tales presented by Judaism and Christianity. Now, when the remains of Setai I and the remains of Ramesses II were discovered, nowhere was it mentioned that both father and son enslaved the Israelites. Nowhere in Egyptian recorded history, both on the walls and papyrus, is it mentioned of the Israelites being enslaved in Kemet. Kemet is the ancient name for Egypt, which means the land of the blacks. No story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife on any walls and pyramids in Egypt. No one is known as Potiphar. The Pharaoh Ramesses, who they claimed died in the Red Sea, suffered and died from arthritis and not in the Red Sea, and he lived up to 90 years. He was the one who built most of the temples you see today in Egypt, and he lived a victorious life in many battles. Did you also know that the people you call Israelites were never enslaved in Egypt as they told you in the book of Exodus? In fact, they came to places in Africa as students, not as slaves. Egypt was the center of learning, and people all over the world came to learn from African Egyptian priests in Egypt. Greek philosophers like Pythagoras came to Egypt and spent 22 years learning mathematics and metaphysics. Socrates spent 15 years learning ethics and mysticism. Aristotle told Alexander the Great to secure all Egyptian books of knowledge and send to him in Greece. Alexander was a student of Aristotle. When he conquered Egypt in 332 BCE, he sent all the books from Egypt to Greece. Now, the first Israelite was not born until the 1700 to 1600 BCE. This was during the 13th dynasty of Egypt, which was also when the Hyksos ruled a part of Egypt for 108 years. All the pyramids were built from the 3rd dynasty to the 4th dynasty, while the Israelites came to Egypt as students in the 13th dynasty. The pyramids were built by laborers in Egypt who were paid and well fed. Their health was the responsibility of the Pharaoh who they are building the pyramid for. Remember, I said the Israelites came to Egypt as students and not as slaves. Now, after they received their early education in Egypt and ended it in 700 BCE, the Israelites left Egypt and Ethiopia with a population of 600,000, with a language called Hebrew and a religion known today as Judaism, all they got from Egyptians in Africa. Did you also know that they copied their 10 commandments from the 42 laws of goddess Mahat? Mahat was the goddess of truth, law, order, justice, and balance. Every visitor who entered Egypt was given the 42 laws of Mahat to recite. The story of Cain and Abel was copied from the story of Osiris and Seth, which is 5,000 years old, before the stories in the book of Genesis.